Hello everyone, welcome to Lighthouse Stamping with Lorraine. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in Vancouver, Washington. Few housekeeping notes before we get started. A description of all the products I used and dimensions will be listed below. Also below is a link to my online store. If you don't currently have a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, I would love to be yours. And if you have any questions or need anything, please send me an email. The link is there as well. And there's a link to our Facebook group. We'd love to have you join. So, on with the project. First, I wanted to also mention Celebration. Celebration is still going on. It ends on February 28th, so you have roughly 10 days, roughly. And so everything at the time I filmed this was still available, but it's while supplies are limited, or while supplies last, I should say. There's also these items that are also available, and if you go to my online store, you can see all of these up and close. I went over them on Monday's video. I'm not going to go through them again. So, wanted to let you know. We are going to be using some of the free paper today. We are going to be using, and I've showed you this pack of paper before. This is the Dainty Flowers paper. We're going to be using that, and it also goes with a stamp set, which is called Dainty Delights, which is on page 55 of the mini catalog. And there is a die set that goes with it as well. Today we're using the stamps, we're not using the dies. And so, let me show you what the project is, and we'll move on. Get rid of those catalogs. Here's a little better look of the stamp set there. It's quite beautiful. And the project we are making is this one. This is a nice little DSP box, made strictly with DSP. It's not made with cardstock, so it will not hold anything that's super heavy, but you can put, some weight in it, but not, don't put a brick in it. I forgot to write the dimensions down. This one is 3 3/4 across, 2 inches wide, and 7.5 inches tall. And I will make sure that is in the description. And I used this particular paper on this one, but we're going to change it up a little bit and use a couple different colors. Okay, so we'll set that off to the side here. And so first I'm gonna grab our paper and our scoreboard. So if your paper is directional, as this one is, you wanna make sure you're going up and down. Now this one, I said if I flip to the back, would it be directional? This paper is also directional. If it's not directional, it doesn't matter, but this one is, so we'll go from there. So we are going to score at 2 inches, 5 3/4, 7 3/4, and 11.5. Then we're going to rotate it this way. So the bottom of your paper is over here. We are going to score at 2 inches, 9.5, and 11.5. And that is all the scoring. Now we're going to fold and burnish all of these score lines. So, which end did I grab? This paper has a lot more color in it. It doesn't have the pink or, I think that's a Blushing Bright in the background of the other one. This has more of a linen-like texture. And our last small, and I know you can't see it because it just flipped over on me, but I'll get it over there in just a second. Okay, so I've scored. So when you're looking at this, and this is the way we scored it, this is the long one here, And here's another short one, these two short ones. You want to lay it exactly the same way as you scored it the first time. We're going to start at the bottom. And there is this small rectangle here where it cuts straight up the score line and then just wedged ever so slightly. So it's like that. Then we're going to come along and cut up straight up the score lines here. Like this. Like that. And this last one. And then now you can see there's two squares and two rectangles. The squares, you want to just wedge in just ever so slightly. Not much of a wedge, just a little one. It'll just make the bottom close a little neater. And this one here. So this is what we have so far. We have the end off and these little wedges here, okay? Now we're gonna work on the top of the box. All right, so I'm gonna flip this around so you can see this, hopefully. I got this camera in or out. Okay, I've got it out all the way, so it's rather close, but anyhow, this is the back of my box. I can see the back here, okay? So if I flip this over, this is gonna be the back piece. That means this piece here needs to be my closure. So this is going to be our closure. We want to keep that. I'm going to grab a pencil and see if you guys can see this. So what we need to do is this piece right here and this little piece we're going to remove. So it's this little square and this rectangle here. We want to keep this whole piece intact because that's going to be our lid. The next one over is a small square. That's going to be a flap, so we want to remove the small piece. This one, we don't need at all, either piece. We're going to get rid of both of these pieces, and then just the flap on this one. So once I cut this, it'll make more sense. I do need to flip it around, though, so I can see. So we're taking off the small square, and then we're going to do another little wedge right in here, real neatly. We want to leave this whole piece intact. Sometimes it's easier to take a pencil, don't do it as hard as I did, but just make a little pencil to mark what you're supposed to cut off so you don't forget. So we'll cut down the next line here. And this one we're going to take off the top little piece, just like that. And this one we're going to come down and cut this one off, straight down. And cut this piece. And the last big piece we're going to cut off of this is we are going to cut this piece off. Now you could put this in your paper trimmer, or you could be brave and do that. So this is what the top of our box looks like now, okay? I'm not wedging anything off these two pieces yet. If we need to wedge them, we'll wedge them after we get this box put together so we know how the closure is working, okay? I find it's easier to do that when you have something that's going inside of it. So that way you don't over trim. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to grab some tear and tape. And you could use glue or Seal Plus on this. And put that there. Fold this over and fold that down. Just like that. Now, we're at the bottom of the box. We know that's the back of the box there. So the two ends will come in like this. This is the back of my box. This is the front of my box. So I want the back to go in first like this, and then the front will come in. So what I'm going to do is I'm using just a little bit of glue here. I'll go ahead and put the tear and tape on first. I want to put tear and tape on this piece here and on this one. I want to make sure this is secure, but so it's got tear and tape on those. I'm going to put a little bit of glue on here. Just a little bit. I'm going to take the tear and tape off the back piece because I want the back to go on first. Put that in. Try to get this as square as possible. Now I know it's not exactly square yet. Don't push the tape all the way down yet. You can find your own way to do this. I just find putting a little glue in there allows me to wiggle it around a little bit. Make sure they're nice and square. Then put it in there. You can take something long or something to go in there. But I find the easiest way to get that to seal up is just drop a couple blocks in and let it sit there. Now we'll work on the top here real fast. This is going to come in here like this. It's going to drop in like that. So what I want to do first is take just a little, a little smidge off of there. Literally a smidge. You can always take off more. You can't put it back. And then I want to see if it closes fairly nicely or not. Nope, it's going to be a little too snug. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to flip it on its side. And this piece here in the front, I'm going to take off just a hair. Sometimes they close and you don't need to do this. And I'm going to go ahead and just remove a hair from this one, just so I don't have to flip it. And then I'll flip it over. I've still got the blocks on the bottom. Blocks work great. They're your other pair of hands. Just take a small wedge off of each of those. Like I said, those should be dry. Now we'll pull the blocks out. Okay, let's try this again. Now we'll see if this will close neatly. So you want it to be a snug fit. Hang on here. There we go. I want a snug fit. I want it to fit snug. I don't want it to come undone and open. You know, we don't want it popping open at the last minute. It's not going to. Now, this is something old, which I know many of you have. This is a 1/2 inch punch. You could use a 1/2 inch, 3/4, whatever you have. I'm going to put a little thumb hole right here. And then it will close up just like that. So now we have to decorate our box. So set that aside. We're going to grab our little machine here, and we're going to cut a piece of Rich Razzleberry. And I grabbed the Scalloped contour dies, and this is the 3rd die in, because I wanted something for a base on the card. The last one I used Fresh Freeze on, and this one I decided to use Rich Razzleberry. Just change it a little bit. So we'll do that real quick. That's the only die cutting. You don't have to put this type of border on. You can put anything you'd like on your boxes. But so there's a nice base. And then I have a piece of white cardstock, basic white. And that piece of basic white is 2 inches by 3 1/4. And I have 2 stamps here. One we're going to do in Rich Razzleberry, and that's the same. And it says, "Celebrate You." Oh, I actually have 2 pieces. We only need 1. That looks good. I love the script in this. And then this one, I'm going to grab a piece of scratch paper. And I'm going to stamp this one, and I'll show you on the thing here. This is one of the smaller of these stamps. I'm going to put an angle on here. Just like that. This is in the stamp set. This is this one here I'm using. You could use any of these on there, but this is the one I chose to use. So there's that. And then we're gonna do a little bit of coloring. Now, I'm not coloring this with blends. I am coloring this with markers. You could do this with watercolor pencils, whatever you wanted. And I'm going to use the Rich Razzleberry on the buds because the buds would be darker. I'll leave that open. We'll put that on Rich Razzleberry. And then the flowers themselves, I'm going to use Brushing Bride on the outside. And these are all colors in the paper. I could move this in a little bit so you can see what I'm doing. Just a quick, not a real fussy coloring job, just want to make it look really nice. And that should be all of that. Then I'm going to use crushed curry to do the centers. I was going to use daffodil, then I realized crushed curry was in this paper, and so I grabbed it. Now this color is not in the paper. This is actually Pear Pizzazz, and I actually liked it with this. It was a little bit lighter than the Mossy Meadow and Olive Green. So I thought it looked really nice with the paper. So that's why I went with that one. But you know, when you're coloring, just look at what's in the paper. It'll give you a good idea of what to go with. Yeah, let's see here. Get a little green there. Like I said, it's not a massive color job. It's a pretty easy color job. So let me scoot this back a little bit. And then we're going to mount this on here. I'm just going to grab some seal here. And this piece I measured so it would line up right inside the stitching. So you still can see the stitching on there. Okay. And then we're going to grab our box. And I have grabbed the metallic mesh ribbon. I've used this many times. I love this stuff. This piece is 1828, about just short of 3 feet. It's about just short of 3 feet. So I'm going to bring this up around the box. Now you could get more and tie a nice bow if you wanted. I don't know if I have enough to tie a bow on this one or not. Actually, I do. We'll go ahead and tie a nice bow on this one. The last one I tied a loose knot. You don't want it real tight because you want them to be able to slide this off easy enough. But I got enough room here. We'll do a nice little bow. I'll pull this out. That's what's nice about this ribbon. It moves. You can move it around and stuff. It originally came out as a Halloween ribbon, but I love it for Christmas too. Oh, I need to get this one a little shorter. So that's that. Then the front of our box is going to be this, and we're going to put this on in the middle here on Dimensionals. And what we do is you just squish this up so this is right in the middle so that you can slide this around if you need to. And I found the easiest way of doing this is using the sides of the Dimensionals. So I have one there, and I have another side here. How long are we? Just a little too long. Use every bit of your Dimensionals. don't want to waste them. There we go. And we'll put this one on this side. So there's nothing through the center of this. And I want one more right there at the end, and I'm out of line there. So we'll go there. And here's our nice verse. And I want it about middle. So basically, I'm just going to take this up. I'm sort of gathering it up. Placing this in the middle. I'm not pressing down. I'm making sure the ribbon's not in there. Then I'm sort of lining this up and make sure I've got it on straight. Not quite. I'm up a little bit. There we go. And then press it down. So then I looked at it and I said, oh, this is supposed to be a special birthday present, so it needs something else. So I went with our basic rhinestones. I didn't go for color or anything special, just the basic jewels. Because I thought they were beautiful on their own with that ribbon. And we'll put 3 of those on here. It's a nice basic jewels. And that is our box. I said it'll hold quite a bit. It's a nice box. So, have a nice day. Have a nice weekend. And we will see you next week. Thank you for joining me. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. And I appreciate all your help in making the channel grow in YouTube. Thank you very much, and goodbye.